United Kingdom police charges former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Diziani Alison Madueke with bribery to appear in court on the 2nd of October. Proceed on retirement leave. Tinubu orders NIMC Director General appoint Koka Udushote as replacement and Yusuf Buba Yakuba's Directorate of Technical Aid Corps. Kaduna plans to recruit 7,000 youths to assist security agencies to fight insecurity. And outside of Nigeria, African Union suspends Niger Republic until return to civil rule. Somali government offers amnesty to Al-Shabaab militants amidst ongoing crisis. Tonight in Politics HQ, I will be speaking with Suraj Oyewale, Director, Fort Rose Consulting, Abuja, and also Desmond Agwefo, International Energy Advisor and Director at Dyston Energy. I am Benga Borowa. Stay with us. Politics HQ, we'll be right back. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last week announced his ministerial portfolios, with the Minister of Petroleum still conspicuously missing. President Tinubu announced the appointment of 2 junior ministers for petroleum, separated into oil resources and gas resources. But a senior ministerial role is rumored to have been ceded to the president in concordance with the last administration. Stakeholders in the oil and gas industry have raised eyebrows about the move made by the president, but experts have analyzed its pros and cons. What could be in it for Nigeria, and why has yet another president failed to appoint a senior minister of petroleum? I will review this with my distinguished guests tonight in Politics HQ, as they aim to shed more light on the issue. And Politics HQ tonight, I have with me Suraj Oyewale, I beg your pardon, Director, Fort Rose Consulting, Abuja, and also Desmond Agwefo, International Energy Advisor and Director at Dyston Energy. One welcome to you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining me on Politics HQ.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'd like to start with you, Suraj. Nigeria's oil and gas sector as a significant pillar of its economy. It's been described as the goose that lays the golden egg. Can you elaborate on the sector's historical contribution to the nation's GDP and its role in shaping Nigeria's economic landscape?
Thanks so much for having me. And oil and gas is a very, very important topic for Nigeria, because it's more or less what gives us, the largest, forex exchange. It's also something that gives us, a large portion of our revenue. So, and it's something that, virtually every Nigeria tends to have an opinion on. So anytime we discuss oil and gas in Nigeria, there is, a flare of emotion, a flare of, everybody wants to, have some opinion. So I believe that oil and gas industry has done quite well for Nigeria with respect to, giving us, revenues, giving us forex. Unfortunately, the governments over the years have not been able to manage it quite creditably well, and that is why why we are where we are today. The contribution to the GDP has historically been low. Less than 10%. The best we've done in recent time is, I think, just a little over 9%. Quite lower compared to maybe sectors like manufacturing sector, industrial sector, like even services sector. Those tend to, agricultural sector in particular, those tend to produce, to add more to the GDP than the oil and gas sector. And that's something that is, it actually goes without saying, given the fact that the sector is relatively small. It's like you rightly said, it fetches us a lot of money, but it's actually a small sector, okay? And if you take out, the Niger Delta state, if you take out, a couple of other states, it doesn't really add more to the economic activities all over the country. So if you compare it with, if you compare it to sector like agri, like industrial sector, like service sector, and those tend to dominate the GDP. So I mean that is why historically, this sector has fit to contribute much to the to our GDP, always less than 10%. I think currently about 6%. Okay, highest
Okay.
ever the same time is about 9%.
Now, Suraj, it doesn't contribute much to our GDP, but it's a very important aspect of our economy, like you rightly said
Yes.
in your opening statement, that it does contribute a huge amount to our forex exchange earners, the higher sector that brings in much needed forex to the government. You also talked about the sector not leaving, or the past administrations have not been able to develop it to its fullest potential and manage it well. Now, for a sector that is so important to the nation's earnings, why do you think it hasn't been developed to its fullest potential for something that is so important to the nation's earnings and its foreign exchange and its forex?
Yeah.
Why do you think what are the issues that are preventing the oil sector from developing to its full potential in Nigeria?
Oh, let me start by telling us what actually what the last administration got right. I mean, they got some things right in the industry, and of course they did quite badly in some other things as part of the in the oil and gas industry. What they did right was passing the Petroleum Industry Act that had been been on the table for since 2007, when it was sent to the Senate by the government of President Jaradua. That was finally passed on August 16, 2021. So on that scale, you can say, oh, okay, I mean, that was a major achievement for the last government. But if you look at it, I think we can do better. And I think one major factor we had why, not much happened in the sector, and that sector, if you look at from a regulatory angle, look at the fact that the Ministry of Petroleum was headed by the president, and who, more or less, have hands-on approach to the industry. As the managing director of, say, a medium-sized oil and gas company, and I can't get the audience of the president. If it were to be in a substantive minister, a non-president minister, I can easily, maybe fix a meeting with him as an industry group, as an independent marketer group, or independent producer group, can easily, engage with the minister that is not the president. But you're talking about the president that doesn't even, it's just the minister of petroleum by name, not necessarily by substance. So that was the major, I would say that was the major reason why things were quite slow. Notwithstanding, the first time when we had PHQ as the Minister of State, he did some things well. I think he did well. The backlog of payment due international oil companies by NNPC were paid. A lot of our pay cash cost payment were paid by PHQ, because he himself was an industry person. He was the former vice chairman at ExxonMobil for Africa. So when he became the Minister of State for Petroleum, he did some things. So the second term, you can give credit to Silva, for passing this, the PIA, but at the same time, being a career politician, I'm sure things could not move as they should have moved altogether.
Thank you very much, Suraj. I'd like to bring in our second guest on the program into the conversation, Desmond Agboifo, International Energy Advisor and Director at Destin Energy. One welcome to you, Desmond, and thanks for joining us in the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Desmond, stakeholders have expressed concerns about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's potential influence over the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. It's not the first time that presidents would assume this role. The immediate past president, former President Muhammadu Buhari, was also the petroleum minister, and I believe former President Olusegun Obasanjo for some period of time. Could you delve into the implications of consolidating such power within the presidency and its potential effects on sector transparency and accountability?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I think we need to give some level of confidence to the President Tinubu, this new accountability, and since we are seeing the time imagine that the Petroleum Ministry now split into, I'd like to say, three key sub-ministries to be Petroleum Subsidies, Gas Subsidies, and now Mining with the Economy. That creates three very distinct portfolios. And again, what is key here is the impact it brings to the Nigerian people in terms of the policy framework. The document that we must pay a lot of regard to is the Petroleum Industry Act that has defined their roles and responsibilities very clearly. And the Ministry of Petroleum has got very distinct roles and responsibilities. So good afternoon, now we've seen three key offices or ministries being carved out from the original plan. That puts a bit of some concern. Most policy analysts like myself have got some concern because, for example, we've seen that the initial Petroleum Industry Act has defined responsibility of the minister to formulate, monitor, and administer government policies in the petroleum sector. And what is key here, before I continue, is to draw a distinction around what is the petroleum industry in itself. And it's defined from the upstream, midstream, and downstream. And the product or the effluent from this industry is oil and gas. And if you take it even further, the gas could be associated gas or non-associated gas. There's little or nowhere in the world where you produce oil without gas. So having different ministries would put a bit of some issues to mend fences, I must say, in how they will be able to administer their different functions. And policy-wise, to your question, the policy is very clear, and we're focusing on trying to structure out what commissions does what. So we've seen the midstream and downstream. And the midstream and downstream have got a fine line. I think what is key for us is to understand what role they play in their various aspects. That gray line still needs to be find out carefully so that there will not be sword crossing in terms of their day-to-day responsibilities. Oil in itself has very distinct portfolio, and I would advise on the contrary, I'm sure I'll leave that in the course of our discussion.
Thank you very much, Desmond. I'd like to bring Suraj back into the conversation. Now, Suraj, the decline in Nigeria's crude oil production from about 2 million barrels in 2014 to about 900,000 barrels a day in 2022 has profound economic repercussions. Could you provide an analysis of the factors responsible for this decline, including both internal and external influences?
Thanks so much for that. I mean, of course, we all know the major culprit for the local influence. Crude theft, unfortunately, due to a grand collusion of elements like, criminals, a criminal cartel that includes, even the security forces, some communities, some personnel of the producing entities. So what that meant was that a lot of crude oil that was produced were not officially accounted for, and along the way, at the point of at the terminal, what gets recorded is way less than what you're actually doing. So that's a major factor. But beyond that, I mean, that's not the only reason why we have been doing badly in production. I mean, in production figures, one other major reason is the fact that in the past 10 years, due to non-passage of PIA, due to energy transition pressure and all of that, we've had a situation in which investments dropped. Some of the international companies have already set up some sort of timeline to drill new wells. We had a situation in which one of the IOCs have said that one of them actually said that they're not going to explore new wells from 2025. So most of them are actually scaled down. You have the indigenous guys that are taking up some of the assets that have been disposed. Some of them are also, they don't have the financial wherewithal to pump and ramp up production. So it's a combination of theft as well as investment freeze as a result of the fact that it's no longer some fancy things to do. I mean, even though some of the investors are now realizing, they're not learning. Oh my, I think there is the power. I mean, outage. Yes, sorry. Okay, some of the investors are now, learning that. I mean, you can actually learn a lot. You can actually still, invest in fossil fuel, but the pressure of the last 10 years was the major, determinant of decline in our own production. Most producers were just not pumping money into producing.
Now, staying with you, Suraj, the decision to appoint separate ministers of state for gas and petroleum has sparked some level of discussion among stakeholders. Could you explain the complexities of managing these two interrelated aspects of the oil and gas sector and the rationale behind having distinct ministerial portfolios?
I think it has its pros and cons. I mean, if you look at it from the fact that gas, Nigeria is trying to focus on gas for the next decade. In 2021, during the tenure of President Buhari, he declared 2021 to 2030 as a decade of gas. The government really wants to focus on gas. Don't let us forget the fact that Nigeria has about 107 trillion cubic feet of gas down there in the reservoirs. Okay, so and that's some money, sitting down the heart. So Nigeria wants to focus on gas. And don't let us forget the fact that gas as general, it's a cleaner fuel. It's actually something that has been identified as a major source of a transition fuel for not just for Nigeria but for Africa as a whole. So the focus on gas is not misplaced. But the question now is, let's now set this aside. How practicable is it for us to have a separate ministry at state level, okay, for a junior ministry for gas and for oil? And this is the fact that, and the major issue with this is that if you're talking about downstream and midstream gas, I mean, this is quite understandable because oil products and gas products, okay, they are totally different when it comes to from the midstream and downstream. The processes are different, the distribution channels are different, the mechanisms are different, the pipeline, everything is quite different, okay? In fact, the players are quite different when it comes to midstream and downstream play. But when we talk about the upstream play, that's more problematic, okay? Upstream gas is more problematic to separate from upstream oil, because both of them come from the same hydrocarbon. Both of them come from similar processes, similar investors. They're even associated. Okay, sometimes you look for oil, you get gas. You look for So it's more problematic to separate it at upstream level, but more straightforward from the downstream and midstream angle. So how this will be managed? So when we have a separate, so what that means is that we're talking about licensing, you talked about payment of all the fees and royalties and things that are related to upstream, gas. I mean, does it mean that the company that has both oil and gas at upstream level, does it mean that you're going to have different regulators? I mean, I'm aware that we have the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, which is the main regulator. But the question is, the ministry that you have to deal with respect to your licensing and all of that. Which of them do you deal with if you have both oil and gas at upstream level? So that becomes a little bit problematic.
Yes, there's quite a lot of work and bureaucracy to deal with regards to separating the ministries of oil from the gas ministry. Thank you, Suraj. I'd like to bring Desmond back into the conversation. Now, Desmond, the signing of the PIA under the administration of former President Buhari has been described as revolutionary for the oil and gas sector. It introduces it's been said to be revolutionary. Can you provide a comprehensive breakdown of how this Petroleum Industry Act, its potential to change the Nigerian oil and gas industry, and have we started reaping some of its benefits? Hello, Desmond, are you there? Okay, I believe we...
Thank you very much. I think there's a bit of smart network. Yes, I have a question very clearly. Yeah, I think the Petroleum Industry Act comes with a lot of benefits, to be honest. And I think the chief of the 7 benefits which thing It's trying to first of all commercialize the sector and boost investors' confidence. And it also puts a lot of focus on being a commercially driven. And what I really mean in clear terms is to drive national oil company to heights of about 4 million barrels a day, and also try to boost our national reserves about 40 billion. I think that's quite a tall order based on what we see now, the current production levels, but it's doable. And I must say that the policy is already well on course. And I think once the ministers get the portfolios all together, I think it should be business as usual, not usual at this time, because I would think a bit of an issue that has before the industry in the last few months, the subsidy issue and things like that. But yes, clearly the PIA brings a lot of benefits, and of course also focus on very revised fiscal regimes for the gas. It favors more the gas as opposed to oil. It also favors the deeper players, the deep offshore players, as opposed to the drier side of the onshore and the shallow water. And I think all of this brings a lot of benefits to the Nigerian people because
Thank you, Desmond. Now, finally, Suraj, before we wrap up this conversation as a parting shot, considering the challenges facing Nigeria's oil and gas sector, if you can in less than 2 minutes, could you offer a detailed set of recommendations for President Tinubu's administration, coming from your background as an oil and gas expert? What recommendations would you give him to navigate these complexities effectively, ensuring sustainable development and growth in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria?
Thanks so much. The first thing is that if it's possible, I would say we should have a substantive, Minister of Petroleum that is not the president. I mean, someone that is well grounded in energy policy, someone that is that has extensive technical knowledge as well as petroleum policy knowledge. Maybe someone from the industry or someone from international agencies that that deal with oil and gas resources. I think that would be better. I would think that would be better choice of Minister of Petroleum rather than having that still being overseen by the president. So that's the first recommendation I would give. I think the other recommendation has to do with with respect to upstream. I would say that more efforts need to be put in place to make sure that the crude theft and other challenges of security that affect our production and reporting are well surmounted. Many players in the industry they are crying. I mean, a lot of investments are in danger because of these activities. So I think more focus needs to be given to security of our infrastructure for the and guaranteeing of the production. Beside that, then for the downstream sector, I would think that we need to manage the supply better, the distribution of petroleum products. Dangote refinery needs to be supported as much as possible. I understand that it takes some time. Despite the commissioning a couple of months ago, we still not had, petroleum product PMS into the market from that refinery. Of course, the NNPC refineries that are under repair also needs to be, the deadlines needs to be respected, and ultimately, we have enough supply in the markets, and we have price coming down for the downstream products. And of course, if you have security in the upstream and we have some sort of supply adequacy in the downstream, then I'm sure that the industry will do better. We get investors both at the upstream as well as the downstream side of things.
Thank you very much, Suraj Oyewale, Director of Fortress Consulting, and also Desmond Agboefa, International Energy Advisor and Director, Dayston Energy, for your time and insight and PHQ tonight. Thank you.